There's a man named Ron Cleveland, you know he's a real deal, real deal. Out in the wild, casting lines where the water meets the reel. He's got a heart full of fire and hands that build with pride. In his garage late at night, where the dreams come alive. Ooh, dreams come alive. Oh yeah, yeah. He's fishing, camping, grilling with a smile on his face. Worked his way through hell just to find his place. A loving husband and a man who never quits. Welcome to Ron Stream, where the good times always fit. Oh, sit back and enjoy the show. Ron's the kind of guy who'll light up a grill with a sizzle and a laugh. Got that backyard thrill. He's out there on the weekends, pitching up the tent, living life his own way. Every single cent well spent. He's fishing, camping, grilling with a smile on his face. Worked his way through hell just to find his place. A loving husband and a man who never quits. Welcome to Ron Stream, where the good times always fit. Oh, sit back and enjoy the show. Through the storms and the trials, he stood his ground. Now he's out in the wild, where peace can be found. From the garage to the river, with friends by his side. Tune in and join Ron, it's a hell of a ride. He's fishing, camping, grilling with a smile on his face. Worked his way through hell just to find his place. A loving husband and a man who never quits. Welcome to Ron Stream, where the good times always fit. Oh, sit back and enjoy the round chair, poet drinking, let's sit a while. Ron Cleveland's lift, bringing country style, with friends in the mix and the grill in between. This is Ron Cleveland's world, where life is serene. And the trials, he stood his ground. Now he's out in the wild, where peace can be found. The garage to the river, with friends by his side. Tune in and join Ron, it's a hell of a ride. He's fishing, camping, grilling with a smile on his face. Worked his way through hell just to find his place. A loving husband and a man who never quits. Welcome to Ron Stream, where the good times always fit. Enjoy the show. Through the storms and the trials, he stood his ground. Now he's out in the wild, where peace can be found. Through the storms and the trials, he stood his ground. Through the storms and the trials, he stood his ground.
Hey, hi. Hi. Hi, can you see me? Can you hear me? Somebody talk to me. Oh, wait, there's probably nobody watching this garbage.
Oh, gee, Yells nailed it.
Oh. What did I nail? I literally got home from work, ran in, threw my lunchbox down on the stove, and came out here. Welcome to Blue Collar Life with Ron Cleveland.
The timing.
Oh, wasn't even paying attention. Had to start that phone, do the updates. Well, I started this, so everybody knew that I was going to be on streaming. Started the phone, did the updates, got that all gone through, got the microphones up and boogieing, got the speaker on. Yeah. 14-hour day today.
OG's Little Monster says good evening.
Hi, Mickey. Mickey, I want to thank you so much for everything that you're doing. Good grief. If I could articulate as well as you, I would be like $1 million a year sponsors right now.
I didn't do anything.
I've been trying to keep up, but today was just horrible between straight line winds and icy roads right away this morning. Your nerves end up shot before the day even starts.
Lol, I have a little help. Like I said, I write out my thoughts and then have Chat GPT rework it to put it in order. OG says I snowblowed 4 driveways today.
I would have done that tonight when I got home, but it was already dark, and I'm like, well, it's going to be melted off in the next couple of days anyways.
OG's Little Monster asks at OG Burnout, you make some extra cash doing it?
Sorry, I'm trying to answer.
OG says no. One neighbor helping out another.
Amen. I like that. Good on you. Good on you. Good job, brother.
Not to mention that I haven't got to use my blower for 2 years, and I wanted to run the old gas out of it.
I actually enjoy doing it. That's the thing. I actually enjoy moving snow.
Barrican says Billy has homework for you. It's in Discord LMAO.
What? Y'all act like I got time for that crap. Where? Oh, good grief. Hold on, I'm trying to find this homework. Where's this homework that I have? I don't see anything addressed to me. I see work for you.
Big Daddy yells
Welcome to my
subscribe
house.
for 30 months in a row.
'Cause these are my people, and this is my land. This is what we pray for, and this is God's plan.
John, thank you for the resub. I don't.
Barrican says tagged you. Billy says good evening gang. That is work for Barrican. LMAO.
know what I'm supposed to be doing. Give the guy my phone number. Hell, I'll just talk to him on the phone.
Barrican says I don't do sales law. My title is COO Billy.
See, and I'm like the guy that talks to you in person. Every sponsorship deal I've ever had, I've closed either over the phone or shook their hand in person. Grill to Go, Imes, KJ's, BTYR. I don't even know. What is a media kit? I don't even know what a media kit is. What the hell is a media kit? Explain this to me.
John says Facebook go live posted. Billy says a montage videos,
Oh,
etc.
that would be that'd be great, but
John says media kit has the images of the brand, etc. Billy says I suppose demographics.
right. But the thing is that
OG's Little Monster says that is actually something I can look up the template on my Canva and see if I can help set one up.
that would be amazing. This is why I love you. If I wasn't married already, why I wouldn't get married again? Sorry, I'd be lying. Nope, did that once, ain't doing it again. But hey, I'd be your bestest friend forever and never, never, never.
OG says amen.
Don't give me. Listen, I don't have a bad marriage. I have a phenomenal wife. I don't want to put any disrespect on her either. My wife has put up with a lot.
Been there, done that. Billy says that is what we need, Mickey. I ran across another potential sponsor and they asked for a media kit, so I put them aside. John says he says that to everyone. OG's Little Monster says give me a little time to study the template and then we'll design one.
Yeah, because that's way out of my wheelhouse. Ron is not a tech nerd by any means. Yeah, so if y'all are just coming in, I literally got off of work, dropped my lunchbox in the house, and walked out here and turned on the stream. I had a 14-hour day today. As y'all know,
says I got you both beat. Never married, stress-free. No hands in pockets on my moldy money.
except mine. Yeah.
OG says I am watching the winter camping in the $1.1 million Earthroamer SX video.
Oh, isn't that gnarly? That ain't nothing. That 1.1
John
million.
says URL.
That $1.1 million one. There's one out there that is, what is it, 5?
Billy says okay, and in the meantime I am giving them your phone number, Ron, and if you get a call it is regarding product testing for that company. BRB.
Pit Boss was over the phone, working with Pit Boss, and that was even unintentional.
OG says 1.1 million would be good enough for me.
You know, I thought about that, but if you look at them, where am I going to put my fishing rods? Where am I going to put my fishing rods, OG? How am I going to launch a boat, just a little river boat with that thing? How am I going to launch a fishing boat with that thing?
OG's Little Monster says at NH Captain I have a paid account with Canva. It's what I use to make flyers and some graphics so I can use all the extras. OG says in the through storage.
Oh, no, you don't put your rods in through storage. No. My neighbor did that, boy, and somebody do that to one of my $800 custom rod, boy.
John says a media kit is a useful packet containing essential information that introduces your business and guides others on how to represent it properly. Think of it as a highlight reel in document form that shows off your brand's history, key facts, and unique selling points.
So send them a fishing montage. I think I have a picture of when I was on the Elite Series yet that we could insert in there.
Catch me if you can.
My man D Money. Somebody give that man a shout out.
OG says lol, custom rods. I am gonna use mine to see if I can catch carp this year, and torture test it. Barracan says Og, you should know better by now. Ron doesn't keep his rods in through storage. He puts them under the van and runs over them.
Hey. The guy runs his catfishing rods over one time. One time. Yeah, but those are awfully cheap in comparison to those ones up
says
there.
This is true.
There's just over $3,000 worth of rods and reels sitting right on that side. And I haven't even got them all up on this side yet. Yeah, there's just over $3,000 worth of rods and reels up there. Matter of fact, the cheapest reel that is sitting up there when I purchased it is $150, and that's my Abu Garcia. I got 4 bait casters up there that are almost $400 a piece. They're probably not worth that now, but that's what they were when I got them.
John says, did you guys hear? Ron bought an Escalade.
Escalate.
Baked Helen says, hey Ron and everyone.
Hi, Helen. D-Money, that
OG's
business.
Little Monster yells, I want to say, have a great stream. I am sneaking out to do some Mickey things. Have fun.
Are you going to stream? If you're going to stream, we'll raid you tonight. Don't you dare.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. There you go. I helped y'all out. We got a raid tonight. We have a raid. Pay no never mind to the man behind the curtain. I am the great Oz. Well, yeah. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to enjoy a Coke Zero. I'm going to BS for a little while. My goal is to have this garage done this weekend. So it's supposed to be very nice this weekend. I have a birthday party that I have to attend on Sunday, but it's just going to be basically make an appearance, have a sandwich, and get back here and get this done. Boat season is coming. I was originally going to get a full aluminum transom put in it, but I think we're just going to replace the wood
John
for this
says,
year.
darn, I was looking for an ASMR channel.
No.
Barrican says, doesn't look like we are progressing towards that goal.
What are you talking about? You keep it up, and my channel is going to be 24-hour streaming just with the blinky going. And every so often, I'll just come in and change the pattern on it. This will be my stream. I would probably get more views for the blinky light than I get. I literally seen a jar of peanut butter averaging 1,200 views here on Twitch.
John says that works.
Then I put some little thing on the auto scroll, hit the weekly goal, and get the
Barrican
big
says
blinky
that's
light.
fine. I'll set up Billy to stream watching Heartland. John says I was looking for that peanut butter after listening to the meeting.
I don't even know if it's still on Twitch. It was way back when I first started on Twitch. So y'all remember like when you first get on Twitch and you start like perusing around and kind of looking at stuff, look at different categories and see what's what. And I kid you not, there was a jar of peanut butter, 1,200 views. I checked in on that jar of peanut butter later on, like a couple weeks later, and that thing had 5,000 views. I'm like, what? No sound, no nothing, no label, just a jar of peanut butter. That's like the people who read orange juice and it says concentrate, the frozen orange juice, and it says concentrate, and they just stare at it. And then you walk up to, what are you doing? It says concentrate. Oh my Gertie. Hashtag relic clown.
I wish my ASMR project had that kind of publicity.
Just like I when they came out with the sleeping category, there was a girl on stream sleeping. You couldn't see her. It was just some kind of little anime thing, but you could hear her snoring in the background. Not like a really loud, nasty snore, just a light snore. 328 views. What am I doing wrong here?
That was a game, I think, originally. OG says I is the snow there, Ron. I had a 3-foot drift in front of my door this morning.
Oh, I got stuck in one of those today. I buried a 45-foot, $500,000 custom rig right in a snowbank today. Yeah. Well, in my defense, I was going to the other side of a very long turkey barn, and I was about 3/4 of the way down it, and it was just fine. It looked like just a dusting, and you couldn't tell that it was transitioning, getting deeper. And next thing you know, you're in it, and it looked out my window, and I'm like, this isn't good. And I was like, either I'm going to go all the way through it or we're going to get stuck. Well, I was fifth gear and jamming it and trying to give her all the beans she's got. Now, my truck has its advantages and disadvantages. One, my truck is a powerhouse. It is an ISX Cummins with a variable vane turbo. It is a nasty little setup. It is on an 8-speed Eaton Fuller transmission with a half splitter, and it has 456 gears in it. So when I tell you this thing is the torque monster of all the trucks, I will outrun anybody from 0 to 55. 59 miles an hour tops, Unless I'm going downhill, I get 61.
Baked Helen says I have green grass and beautiful sunshine here, even some spring flowers blooming.
Not here. Stays a little too cold at night for that. But yeah, I've buried her. Then the guy came out with a skid loader, tried to push me with the skid loader, didn't work. But we grabbed one of my coworkers. We had 3 trucks out today, so he just pulled up behind me. I'm like, I'm not that bad. He couldn't move me with a skid loader. I said, I just need you to put tension on the strap. I'll come right out. And that's what he did. A little tension on the strap, but away I went. The only the reason my truck is more susceptible to getting stuck is because I have a much lower profile tire on there. So my truck belly drags a lot more than everybody else's. My tag axles are my biggest problem. So my truck is a 2006 International 7600, and it however this truck got set up, it wasn't set up quite right, and then they tried fixing it and just made it worse. But they put these low profile tires on there, and the tag axles hang down so low that they hang up on everything. We've got certain railroad crossings we go over, and my truck gets up on the tag axles and it lifts my drive axles off the ground. So I have to hit it with some kind of momentum. Now, believe you me, the first time I had to go through that when I started here, whoo, boy, I was like, I don't know if this is a job for me. Don't get me wrong, I'm not Mr. Safety by any means, but I'm like, I am not getting hung up on a train tracks. Nope. Towed way too many bad things off of train tracks, and this thing was like one of them ones where you don't get a good view of it. So it's like running the gauntlet to get over it, but I've done it so many times now, I'm just used to it. Yeah, it's interesting to say the least driving that truck, but I'll be honest with you, I've got the only extended cab truck on the fleet, and I am thankful to have it. Because I've driven the other trucks, and you are packed in there like a sardine. When you talk about a $500,000 truck, there is no driver comfort included in that. You just learn to get used to it. We have to have leather seats for biosecurity purposes, and if you know me long enough, you know I can't stand leather seats. Even though every vehicle I own has leather seats, and it's only because I get good deals on them, I cannot stand leather seats. I hate leather seats. They wear out very quickly. They're
Big Daddy Yelled 670 just subscribed.
Hey!
48 months in a row.
This is my land. This is what we pray for. This is God's plan.
Road Tax, thank you for that resub, brother. Yeah, if you know anything about me, I can't stand leather seats. People are always like, "Oh, they're easier to clean off." And
Rotax says no snow up here.
there really wasn't a lot of snow, but it was the wind. The wind causing drifts. That's where the accumulation of snow came from.
John says my LHS had leather seats in the summer of sticking to them.
It's not even that for me. It's just, my favorite example is you get into an OBS Ford pickup. OBS stands for original body style. All right? Which in the Fords it would have been...
Barrican says not much, Matt. We were just talking about you.
Matt, what's happening? But the comfort between the two seats...
Baked Helen
It's
yells
undeniable.
leather seat are cold in winter and summer you stick to them. Yeah.
My wife used to, when we first got married, it had to be leather furniture in the house. I hate leather furniture. Don't care for it. She's like, it's easier to wipe off. And after a couple of years, I said, "When's the last time you wiped the furniture off?" She said, "Touche." But what's really funny is, a friend of my father-in-law's was giving away a leather lazy boy. So I have a leather lazy boy. My favorite chair that I used to sit on the deck, which is now in the dump, God rest its soul, was leather. And I really liked that chair. It was just tore up. I finally threw it out. I said, you know what? Dash has been gracious enough to leave me a dump trailer while I'm cleaning stuff up. And I have been slowly throwing stuff in there. But this weekend, she'll be packed full. I got to see if the dump is open this weekend. Otherwise, I'm going to have to get off of work early Friday. Friday should be quick for us. But get done early Friday. Get back here and get a run to the dump so I can have it open for the weekend. Because, boy, I tell you what. Main thing is getting the boat in. We got to figure out how to get it disconnected. I'm going to have to build I'm going to have to go to the old Maynards and get some 2x4s and a 2x6 to put the motor on. And then I got to measure the thickness of the plywood and get that done. And then it'll be on a mission to get a trolling motor. I mean, leather seats are what they are. They're not my preferred choice. I'm not going to not buy a vehicle because it has leather seats, but if I have my choice, I'm going to get cloth seats every time, just like the Expedition. This spring, we're going to go get my parents' old Expedition. My son owns it. And he's going to he's not even, he doesn't want to stick any time or money into it. So, I think I'm going to pick it up from him. Only the motor is the only thing that'll work in this, but if the cloth seats are still in decent shape, I'm going to put the cloth seats in this truck. I know, Eddie Bauer, but if you knew what it cost to get leather seats reupholstered, yeah, it ain't worth it. And I'm hoping that they're manual adjust seats.
Rotax says my old T-Bird has a good combo of leather and cloth. Lets you slide in but not around and not sticky.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about because that's what I had in my mud truck. A lot of the old 70s Fords used to have that. The 70s Fords, like the LTDs and stuff like that. Yeah. Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about. Those were good seats. Because you could get them in a bench seat or a bucket. Chevy S10s were good for them. Chevy S10s used to have those. Grand Prix. Yep. Those are good seats.
Worst is seat covers over leather that slide around.
Yes. Oh my grief. But there is a trick to that. If you take 3M double-sided tape, because it's not overly adhesive, but it's sticky enough that if you put it on there, it'll stop it from doing that. Because even if the glue wears out.
OG says spray glue. Rotax says spray adhesive lol.
No. I won't do that because them seat covers wear out. we may have done that. I'm not confessing to anything, but there might still be a can of spray adhesive up there on the shelf somewhere. No, I think I finally threw it away.
It's my customers that have the issue. I just have to deal with it.
I kind of don't want to take the seat out of the Expedition now because I finally got the heated seat to work. How dumb is that? I don't want to get rid of the seat because I got the heated seat to work.
Nice.
And they're actually really hard to find seat covers for. You know that? I did not realize how hard it is to find a seat cover for a Ford Expedition. A nice one. You know which ones I miss? Are the old like the weave denim ones. You know which ones I'm talking about? They're like they kind of would match the rugs in the house. Oh, I can't think of what they're called. There was those ones and the horse blanket ones, and I like the other ones better.
Dash says I don't like heated seats. Cooked farts are nasty.
Ah, what do you mean? It's great after Mexican food. Then you get twice fried beans. Yep. Hmm.
Rotax says I like the heated garage.
Yeah. Well,
If only I had garage space at work.
I just put a house furnace in here. I bought that furnace for $150 9 years ago when my drip oil stove crapped out. I had a ventless wall mount heater in here and it couldn't keep up. Um, and then I had a wood stove in here for a while. And
They'd never have to go outside.
I had a wood stove in here where the drip oil stove was, and I just couldn't keep up with one. I grew up in a shop with wood heat, and your floors are never dry. There's always crap all over your floors from bringing the wood in and dropping it because you always drop it by the wood stove so it dries out a little bit. And I just, as much as I love wood heat, I just don't miss the mess. I just don't. So I loved wood boiler systems. The problem is I'm getting older. You know, what am I going to do if I end up 80 years old? How am I going to stock that wood boiler? I'm going to end up like everybody else that has a wood boiler system.
Dash asks saddle blanket seat covers.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are it. And then Carhartt for a while was coming out with a whole bunch of different seat covers. Carhartt had some really good seat covers because we ended up putting those in. Oh, was it the Fusion or did I have those in the Ranger? No, I think I put them in the Fusion, so that way I didn't mess up the seats in there. Yeah, pretty sure that's where those ended up. Those were nice. Those are some heavy duty seat covers.
Barrican says, have you seen the new 2025 King Ranch? They are a very nice truck.
Problem is, I think you can only get them with the EcoBoost. And a half ton, anyways. And I don't want an EcoBoost. I like my V8s, if you can't tell. Van is a V8, the Expedition's a V8, K-Body's a V8.
Dash says there is a seat cover company in southern MN between Redwood and Marshall. I'm gonna check them out someday.
I would be happy if I could find a upholstery shop. If I could find an upholstery shop, I'd just get these seats redone. The back seats are perfect, but the front two seats need to be redone, and I just have them use a softer leather so that way it doesn't pull apart so fast. Got a little stretch to it when it gets cold. I don't know. It'll have a diesel heater in it this year anyway, so. Had a lot of ice in the back of that truck because of ice fishing gear that I had thrown back there that had ice on it. So it's definitely getting a diesel heater this year.
Rotax says my closest upholstery guy is always busy, boat seats and classic cars.
Yeah, the one that I know of, they've got like a 2-year waiting list and they're fixing to go out of business soon. It's not because they don't make the money, they just don't have anybody who wants to take it over. There was one here, there's one over in Wilmer, and they just did not do good work. I asked my auto body buddy, I said, how's that upholstery shop next door? He says, don't do it. He said, we sent a couple of seats over there for them to redo, and then we had to send them out of state to get them redone. Yeah, they weren't in business very long. A couple of really nice ladies, but they really thought that they're going to be able to do really custom car interior, and that takes a lot of work. They used to pay big money for that stuff. Interior work was never cheap. When the lottery.
I've done so many ATV, dirt bike, and snowmobile seats I wouldn't mind putting new on my truck seat, but I need the materials.
Well, they've got kits.
It would have to be all sewn up. I can hog ring it on.
Yeah, they've got full-blown kits. I think, what is that called? Cat skins? They've got kits for just about everything. Yeah, I think it's called cat skins. This weekend will be nice. I won't have to have the furnace on. I can have the front door open and I can just get to moving like I did. Bought that omnidirectional TV antenna because that's what I got on the Redneck Ice Castle. And now I don't need it. I got Starlink. I didn't realize Starlink would work so well with the Amazon Fire TV. Like all the channels that I like to watch, once you have the Amazon Fire TV hooked up, it all comes through the interwebs for free. You guys know me, I like my eye on. I gotta figure out where I'm gonna put a TV in here. I'm gonna take the one out of the fish house, I'm gonna put it in here, and then I'm gonna do a different setup in the fish house for next year. Also, this Friday, there's going to be a limited stock of Cat Claws Rod Holders Tall Boys. I believe they're going to be released on Friday. So, know this. If you want a tall boy like I have, you better be on there Friday because they're not shy about it. They will not last long. They never do.
Shipping has to be horrible on that.
No, they're not bad. I believe the prices listed include the shipping. I believe. Double check the website. You can either go to !CC or you can go to Ron Cleveland TV, roncleveland.tv, give my webpage some traction, and there's a direct link to Cat Claws rod holders. Make sure you use the promo code RCO10 and get your discount. Or if you're like me, you just pay full price anyways because it's a small business and you want to support them. He gets mad at me when I do that. Because there's a lot of people who bought Cat Claws rod holders because of me, and they say they take the same stance I do. I don't need a discount. Small business, we're going to support them. I can get a heck of a discount just because I'm on Team Cat Claws, but I don't ever use it. You may think that's kind of insane, but I know what it's like to be a small business owner and everybody wants a discount. I don't want one. It's a great product. I don't think it should be discounted. It is one of the best rod holders I have ever owned in my life. And because of that, I have made great friends with Adam. I could probably ask him for something for free and he'd give it to me, but I don't do that. I have, what, 3...
Dash says you should call Sue for your seat covers. Tell her you're with Ass Monkey, so give you a deal and bill it to Richard. Rotax says you know what it takes to make in the time.
I do. That's one thing that I tell people, and that's what really impressed me with it was the fabrication. When I seen it at FishCon that year, because Walleye had them, as soon as I seen them, I was like, I gotta have one of those. And Walleye actually gave me the link, and somebody reached out to him and said, hey man, this dude's interested in your rod holders.
OG says I have seen so many copies of those rod holders.
Oh, and that's the thing. I want to see him put a steel fence post in them and put a 350-pound dude on them. Anybody can stick a reel in it with a 20-pound drag and let it run. Put a 350-pound dude on theirs and let's see what it does. I challenged, there was people talking garbage about it, and I said, I challenge you. I did it live.
Rotax says red chat.
That. Small business. Oh. Custom lures, huh? I like custom lures. What kind of lures you make? Do I got any customs tied to my rods right now? Hold on, let me look. Do I got any customs up there right now? I like custom lures. No custom stuff tied on there, but there's some in the bag over here. There's a whole bunch of them in the basement. I got tons of lures in the basement. I got a whole... There's another whole box of custom lures around here somewhere. I just got to find them. Henceforth, why we're working on the garage. I literally have a box like this and like this full of custom lures that people have made here on Twitch, and I bought. And they're so nice. I bought them to fish with, but... Oh! Is there some in here? Nope, that's electro-digital stuff. That's a mount.
Big Daddy Ralph Dash like just gifted Tribal 612 CS custom lures subscription. This is to Tribal 612 CS custom lures
Thank you.
subscription.
we pray for. This is God's plan.
You in the right
Tribal
chat.
612 CS custom lures says I make offshore lures. I am in FL.
Ah! Well, we might
Dash
be
says
talking.
now he can hear you at Tribal 612 CS custom lures.
Sorry, I'm horrible with reading the chat sometimes because my mind is like, I'm like, whoo,
Tribal
squirrel.
612 CS custom lures says thank you for sub, love that song.
So, I am very, very grateful for y'all being in here. As y'all know, I am going to get back into doing some bass fishing this year. We're going to fire up some of my old pro tools up here. The reason I want to get the garage done this weekend, not only to get the, we're bringing back a legendary boat on this stream. Now it's not some fancy $150,000, $200,000 bass rig. It is the Sullivan. It used to belong to Dash Life's dad. Many years ago, they donated it to me. We had to put a lot of work into that thing. And I've never worked on boat motors before. And this particular one, has a custom size fuel line that was exclusive to the motor. I had everything else figured out. I put a fuel pump in it, did a tune-up, did all the stuff. I put the wrong size fuel line on it. Brought it into a local boat shop, and they told me you did everything right except this. So they replaced all that, and I usually bring it in about once a year, have them go through it because the cables and stuff are kind of old, so they adjust everything in the shifter. They do something with the shifter as far as adjusting it or the throttle lever, and yeah, I just let them keep messing with it because they make it mint, and it doesn't cost me much, $170 a year, and it runs all year. So we're bringing that boat back. I've done a lot of fishing in that boat. I wore that girl out. Well, now she's going to get the old revive and drive. So when she was getting tired and I traded it off for another boat, I brought that boat into a repair shop that really messed that boat up. I got a boat that looked just like my first bass boat, identical. When I was first chasing around semi-pro stuff. And I brought it to another boat shop on the word of a friend who said that this guy was really good with them old boats. Well, here that guy that was really good with them boats sold the business to his apprentice, and his apprentice really messed this boat up beyond repair, beyond what it was what I was willing to stick into it to fix it. It had the triple tower of power 150 horse Mercury. It was also known as a mod motor. It was actually the motor.
Dash says it was cool. I seen it.
Yeah. It was actually the motor. I still have it, by the way. It's one of them things that I go out and it reminds me how stupid I was. But that motor was the reason that the Bassmasters series no longer allowed major modifications to boats, because these particular motors you could do some serious stuff with. I mean, it would leave people standing still. And that's when they kind of got after it and said, yep, no more. Anyways, I traded the Sullivan off on it, and then we had my buddy Jason's Crestliner that we ran, the
Tribal
ancient Crestliner.
612 CS Custom Lures says I've watched you ice fish, which is intriguing to me because we don't get snow.
Yeah, well, I got to do it for 2 months this year, and last year I only got to do it for a few days. Been really off last couple of winters, but I kind of figured it wouldn't be like all that extravagant this year. The problem I had this year is we had a kind of a thaw out right after we got really good ice, and the ice was crystal clear, so it didn't allow the vegetation to die under the ice. So the fish weren't really striving to find food. They weren't really hunting. They were kind of lazy and lethargic, and you had to just get on top of them. So it's been something like when it's weird for me to hear people say they haven't been ice fishing because I grew up with it my whole life. You know, people are so fascinated by it. It's just, and I can understand why, because it's like next year the plan is my wife and I are going to take our first vacation together, and I'm going to go to Bermuda, and I'm going to try my hand at blue marlin. It is quite the expense, but I don't care. It is a bucket list fish for me. I've got two bucket list fish that I really want to catch. One is a peacock bass. I know they're very common for people in Florida and things like that. You can find them in ditches and wherever else, but I've never caught one. All the times I've been to Florida, I've never even went to go fish for one. I've actually never been saltwater fishing. The other thing I want is a blue marlin. I want a blue marlin because growing up, you'd watch guys like Bill Dance and Roland Martin and Al Linder, watching those guys, and there's I'm having a brain fart because I'm tired. There's a ton of fishing guys I used to watch all the time, and that was like what they did in their off seasons. Is every one of them would make a going down and fishing for blue marlin, and it's like, oh, I wish. Like watching those things jump out of the water when they got one hooked, it was just, as soon as I seen that, I was like, I gotta have it. Gotta have it. It's been that way, I bet you, probably since I was 10 or 11 years old. Maybe even longer, but I can remember as far back as 10 or 11 years old, and that being the fish I wanted to catch. So.
My favorite to catch is wahoo.
You just like saying the name. That's what it is. Oh, and you ain't fooling me.
Rotax says that would be crazy to watch.
I've been around the block a time or 12, you know.
Ron on the Big C.
Yeah, that's the intention. If we can make it happen, I don't know how, but we'll figure it out.
Tribal Custom Lures says LMAO.
I mean, I'd like to fish something where I could go, wahoo! What do you have fish for today? Wahoo!
Baked Helen says I used to go salmon fishing with my stepdad.
See, that's the thing, like salmon fishing and steelhead and things like that. I mean, there's things I would like to go catch.
OG says we gotta get you hooked up with Fineo. Rotax says Gulf of America stream would be sick.
There's a lot of fish that, I mean, I would like to catch any fish. Like out in South Dakota, I got a paddlefish.
Tribal Custom Lures yells yes. Fineo.
I mean, when I was in South Dakota, snagging that paddlefish, man, that was cool. That was awesome. And it was neat. And I brought it up on it was a big old paddlefish, and I got it on like 8-pound braid. People are like, oh, you're out trying to snag them. They're like, no, you don't snag paddlefish on 8-pound braid. I was on my little Fishing 13 setup, actually. I was surprised. I mean, I thought for sure I was ruining that reel. That dude was just spooling. I'm like, oh man, I'm about to blow out a $200 reel. This is gonna hurt. I was like, what? I thought I locked horns with something like a catfish or something, or maybe a big old walleye, and well, I forgot the bait fish that we were trying to catch. But inadvertently off the Yankton Dam, if you're not, I couldn't figure out why everybody out there on the Yankton Dam was fishing with big old catfishing rods, even catching bait. I'm like, you don't catch bait with a catfishing rod. You catch bait with me, the know-it-all. About cost me a $200 reel in it.
Rotax says, greetings, Briancena.
Well, hello from Argentina.
Tribal Custom Lures says, my bucket list is sturgeon. I've never heard of a paddlefish.
Look them up. Missouri River, South Dakota. We get sturgeon here. I mean, we don't get the big giant monsters like you see out in Oregon and Washington, but we get some big sturgeon out here. 50 plus inches anyways. I haven't gotten into any of that big. I've gotten into a bunch of smaller ones, but my buddy Fish on Luke caught the Wisconsin state record 2 years ago. He was on a border water, so it was big enough for Wisconsin state record, but it wasn't big enough for Minnesota.
My nephew is on the oil rig in South Dakota. He wants me to visit.
You should. You wouldn't think so, but South Dakota has some really good fishing. That Missouri River is one of my favorites. I liked it so much I didn't even make it out to western South Dakota to go fishing. Been out there before, but the Missouri River was a whole new animal for me. And once I learned to fish it, it was on like Donkey Kong. My problem is my favorite camping spot is a half an hour away from my favorite fishing spot. So I have to decide, do I want to sit at my favorite fishing spot this weekend or my favorite camping spot? Because my favorite fishing spot's not in a real nice area. Like, we had people shooting guns off 100 yards away from us. Yeah. But it's great fishing. I went up and down the Missouri River 5 times that year. In South Dakota. People were getting bored of that stuff, but I'm like, man, I bought a year-long fishing license for here. I'm fishing here.
That's usually the same with peacock spots.
Yeah, I told Solo when I come to Florida, he gets to put me on the peacock bass.
Barracan says, I'll check back in later. I'm going to go lay down. My
Okay.
head is killing me.
Did you look in the mirror again? Thomas Jones, what is happening? Overworked? No, not really. I haven't. Honestly, this will be the first week I've done 40 hours in a month. Ice fishing's been kind of the hurry up, get done what I got to get done. If I don't have to be there, I leave. Not this weekend, but the weekend after, we're gonna go do some work on the diesel. I'm gonna run the diesel to and from work, and then I'm gonna leave the boat hooked up to the Expedition, so them nights where I'm getting off early, I can just jump in the Expedition and run to the lake. Because we should have an hour or so of daylight. We can get out and do some fishing.
OG says I saw some resorts are closing up already due to bad shoreline ice.
Yeah. Some guys are still crazy enough to drive on it out here last weekend. I'm not that kind of crazy. Like, there's 24 inches of ice out here yet. My buddy Matt went out there. He says, yeah, there's 24 inches, but he says 9 to 12 of it's all honeycombed, and you don't drive on honeycomb ice. You sink through that, I don't care how good the ice is underneath it. You get your truck hits that, you're getting towed off. That's the thing. You got to know what good ice is and what bad ice is, and a lot of people don't know that. Winter's done where you're at? I don't know. I decided to knock on the door yesterday. We didn't get a lot of snow. It went from rain to snow, but then the wind picked up, and that's what made the snow even worse.
Tribal Custom Lure says I thought you were going to say it would sink.
Well, it won't. Most of the time, it won't go all the way through because there's still a good 10 to 12 inch base layer underneath there. But if you bust through that honeycomb ice, it's basically like being stuck in the mud. You're just sitting there spinning your wheels. The only problem with this ice is you're going to mess something up trying to drag somebody out of that, if you can even get traction. So usually what you see is you'll see a couple of young guys out there, one backing all the way up to the front bumper or rear bumper and hitting it, and either they snap
How
the
do you get
receiver.
towed?
There's a lot of different ways. Some guys are smart enough to have winches on their trucks, which is the smartest way to do it. If you got metal wheel chocks, spiked wheel chocks to get them off. You can use a snap strap like you would in the mud, depending on how bad they're in. Otherwise, it's calling a recovery company to come out with their ice recovery equipment, and that's not cheap. Sometimes, if you're lucky, you can jack it up and get some boards underneath it. If you can get it so the jack doesn't go through the ice, if you got some long enough pieces. But I don't even mess with it. It's as much as I like fishing, it just ain't worth it to me. And I don't have a portable setup or a four-wheeler this year, so people always ask me why I use light four-wheelers in the wintertime. Well, first time you get one stuck, you'll understand why. You're going to wish you had a light four-wheeler that you could pick up. Try explaining that to my son. He wants a 1,000cc four-wheeler. I can use it for everything. Yeah, what are you going to do when you get it stuck in the snow? Better get used to shoveling. That was a nice thing about
That's what I was thinking.
But I remember I had to learn the hard way. That XMR I had, boy, that thing was horrible in the snow. You either had to be full throttle and full momentum to go anywhere, or it was just definitely not an ice fishing rig. I was actually out on Color Lake over here first year with it. And yeah, get all the way to where I want to fish, set the portable up, go fishing, went to go move, and it was buried. And it's not like it gets back up on top of the snow by any means. You basically have to shovel a runway so that way you can get a run, and hopefully it gets enough traction to get going again. just a bad idea. It was that moment I knew that those were not good ice fishing four-wheelers at all.
Do you eat what you catch?
Sometimes I do a lot of catch and release though. I have gout, so freshwater fish, uh, if I eat too much of it, tends to trigger my gout. I used to eat it all the time, but gout's one of the weird things where, like my father-in-law, he has gout. Red meat triggers it. Red meat or beer. Beer can trigger it too. But hard alcohol, he's fine. Chicken, fish, all that other stuff, he's fine. Mine is just fish. And we found that out the hard way. It was 4 years ago. I think maybe 3 years ago. We had a big fish fry.
That's crazy sorry.
It's just part of life. Doesn't make me enjoy fishing any less. But yeah, we had a big fish fry, and that night I was up and I was a hurting unit. And I thought maybe it was something else because we had a whole bunch of other stuff, and then people brought stuff that I'd never tried before, and I thought it was that. So the next time it happened, I was actually out that next year. I was out ice fishing, and I was, or no, it was not. Sorry, I lied to you. It was not. It was my son and I uh, caught a bunch of fish and made them up, and I mean, I was just eating my bounty, and that
Dash
next
says
night,
fish are friends, not food. Lol.
uh-huh, that that night I was up. My wife knows when I get a gout attack because being with her dad when he had it, you're up pacing all night because it literally feels like somebody is taking a steel
Tribal
poker,
Custom Lures asks what's the primary target species?
whatever bites. Um, I'm a multi-species fisherman. In the last few years, actually since being on Twitch, I've become fascinated with multi-species. Last year, I started fishing for carp. Uh, I grew up catfishing. That was kind of a common thread. But my main thing for a lot of years was bass fishing. Like if you see that green bag back there, that's all bass lures. That's just the ones I take with me. There's lures everywhere, all over the place. My basement.
Dash says wet. He targets wet fish.
But bass fishing was my thing for a long time. Now, the thing was, what got me into carp fishing last year was I will say this, I was the biggest crap giver to everybody on Twitch that was carp fishing. I talked so much garbage. My boy Soggy, I would listen. That poor dude, man, I would torture him because I called it trash fishing. Because in my area, they're a very, very invasive species. They do a lot of damage to the lakes around here. And it's bad enough now to where they're being continually harvested here and they still can't make a dent in the population out here. I've had a couple people come out now, and OG was one of them, came out and carp fished out here, and he's just like, that's insane. I'm like, that ain't nothing. People watch me do it. I mean, figuring it out here on stream. Yeah. The thing that I find interesting about carp fishing is it's kind of like hunting. You set up your bed, your feed bed. It's kind of like setting up your food plot, and you're hunting down that big one. And Soggy was actually one of the guys that I listened to a lot when it came to him and OG were two of the guys that I listened to a lot when it came to carp fishing. And I was down on the Minnesota River with Soggy one weekend, and I was out trying to catfish, and I had everything I threw out for catfish, the carp would bite. And he's like, I can't believe they're hitting that big old hook. And I'm like, I can't either, but they're hitting it. So, long story short, I paid attention to what he said, and he was telling me that, you always want to cast in the same spot or in the same area. You want to build
Tribal
this plot.
Custom Lures says, I am glad we don't have carp, but we have snakeheads and iguanas instead.
Yeah, carp, they're fun to catch, but boy, they do some damage out here. They were, I forgot what the lake report was out here. It was some years ago that they put it out. It was probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, maybe. They came out here and they were talking about the damage that the carp are doing out here, because the DNRs it used to be that guys would go out and bow fish them and do whatever, and they would throw them on the banks. And the DNR put a kibosh to that. Then they were setting up sites where guys could, they told you basically you had to take them with you. You had to find a place to dump them. My proposal was, well, why don't you guys go out and you harvest, like last year, the Minnesota DNR in this area harvested over 500,000 pounds of carp, and they just throw them through a wood chipper. And then they take them out to a farmer's field for fertilizer. There's another company, the commercial fishing company, that comes out here and they harvest them to send back to New York. And a buddy of mine drives a semi that does it in one lake. One lake they took over 200,000 pounds of carp out of. One lake. 200,000 pounds in 2 weeks. That's a lot of fish. That's a lot of carp. And this lake is not that, I mean, it's a bigger lake, but it's not that big in comparison to the big lakes here in Minnesota.
Could they work as chum for cats? Or they are too thick to get to the CTAS?
We are not even allowed to use them for cut bait. They're considered a rough fish in Minnesota, but we're not allowed to use them for bait. Figure that one out.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like watching these guys, like going to South Dakota for the longest time. I'm so used to being in Minnesota. I didn't realize you could use...
OG says can't use carp, but we can use sheephead.
Yeah, and it's never makes sense to me. None of that stuff ever makes sense to me. Just like now they're finally looking at legalizing jaw jackers here, hook setters. Because enough people have raised enough issues with fish being hurt or being damaged because there's no hook set, because of a delayed hook set or whatever. I mean, most people I know are going to buy a hook setter setup. I know I would. For my dead stick hole, absolutely. I had to take a perch, 8-inch perch this year.
Tribal Custom Lures says, well, we know who those people are, LMAO.
Well, and the thing is scientific.
Rotax says, just don't outlaw regular tip-ups then.
No, they won't do that. They took them till, what, 84 or 86
OG
to
says,
legalize
I already
them.
have two. I've had them for 4 years.
It took them from, it wasn't until 84 or 86 that they even legalized tip-ups. But I did learn a trick, even if they don't. So my son found this guy on the Tic Tac, and I got a beaver dam. Give me a second.
Rotax says, I think they're spreading out the gang of hooks we can have also.
So this is my old beaver dam tip up, right? This is one of the OG ones. I believe I got this from Dash Life, actually. He found
OG
it.
says yes, they are going from 9 to 18 inches.
So what this guy does, if I can get the old beaver dam to cooperate today, she's a little swollen. Come on, what are you doing way up there? That's half the problem. That's one of the old school beaver dams. As soon as Dash offered it to me, I'm like, yep, gotta have it. So what he does is when his sits like this, depending on how the depth of water he usually fishes, so he'll do like, say he's fishing in 10 feet of water, he'll put like 20 to 25 feet of line on there, and when they hit this, when he's got it looped on there, when they hit this stops, sets the
Rotax
hook.
says it was in lockdown mode.
Yeah. So he just said, instead of filling the spool all the way up, measure your line out based on where you're fishing. If you're fishing the same depths of water all the time, especially like when you're northern pike fishing, you're not usually in more than like 10 feet of water. So you put like 20 feet of line on here, and it's an automatic hook setter. And I was just like, you got to be kidding me. And I mean, it was just fish after fish, same thing. They'd hit this, boom, set the hook. Boom, set the hook. I mean, don't get me wrong, he could have been making something for Vichy or whatever, but he didn't miss a single one.
I never tried that.
Oh, I'll be doing it this next year. Early ice for northerns, pickling northerns. Absolutely. Because I like to run, my son and I both like to run one tip up out, and then oh, what in the world? That's pretty slick. I wonder, can you run it that way? Oh my Gertie, you can. You can run that above the hole. I never knew that. I'd heard some tricks about the old
Tribal
beaver dams.
Custom Lures asks, do you fish fluorocarbon for ice fishing?
No. Nope. Fluorocarbon is the biggest joke I've ever seen for fishing. I bought a whole spool of it, tried fishing with it for about 2 weeks, and I threw it away. I am a braid guy unless it's my inline reels, and then I only use like a 3-pound monofilament. I don't have any of my ice fishing rods in here. No.
Rotax says, does the spool have a hole in it for the tip of the flag storage?
I don't know. It was just on the wing nut. It probably does. I just hook it on the wing nut. That's where I've always hooked them. Eric, what's up, brother? I'm using the Rode 2 microphones. These. Yeah, it's...
Tribal Custom Lures says, braid straight to the hook.
Yes. And I would love... I have been called out on that so many times. Matter of fact, here. Just so you can see, I mean, most of my regular viewers know it already. Right there it is. Braid straight to the lure. That visibility is the biggest joke I've ever seen in my life. I've caught just as many fish, just as big a fish around here. I'm running straight braid to the lures. It doesn't matter what it is. Pick your poison. Wacky rigs. My spinning setup. Hold on.
Rotax says I was fishing with 80-pound fluoro leaders on my rattle reel this winter. Lol, I got a 25-inch walleye on it.
Yeah, I just use tip up line for my leaders and my rattle reels. Why is that? Oh, that's why. No, this one is actually monofilament on this one, is because we were using it for sun fishing last year, crappie fishing.
After seeing my buddy snap the line on a hook set, I am like, nope, not messing around.
Where's my other one? Oh, I bet it's down in the basement. But my finesse rod, I run 10-pound braid on.
Giant walleyes are like logs on a hook set.
Yep. That's why I run the 50-pound tip-up line. That black stuff you get. This is my pan fishing finesse rod. This is my pan fishing finesse rod. This is a TFO trout and panfish rod, 7 foot, 6-pound braid. The only way, in my opinion, to go on a spinning reel, any reel, unless it's a inline reel, is braid. Back in the day, that was custom made. I didn't pay that for it, but they retailed for 50 grand. But I've had that for going on 9 years now, 8 years. Yeah. I forgot. Oh, this has got the Sedona on it. Shimano Sedona reel. 1000. It's a trout and panfish rod.
Tribal Custom Lures says, I guess because freshwater has thinner line, it works.
Yeah, I've had so many people tell me, oh, visibility and things like that, and I've literally fished side by side. My son and I have done side by side comparisons. Same lures, pretty much the same rod and reel combination, not much in difference as far as that goes. And literally, I caught more fish. I have bright red line on one of my inline reels. I have bright blue line on some of my fishing reels. I have bright green line. My rattle reel lines up to my leaders are fluorescent orange. The visibility thing, I don't buy it. I'm not sold on it. When I first started learning to use bait casters, I was using 50-pound braid, learning bait casters, and still catching fish. Now I usually run about a 20-pound braid, and the reason I run a 20-pound braid is not because we got 20-pound fish. It is because we have in Minnesota what is called northern pike. And you ask any Minnesota fisherman, they are our nemesis. A northern pike will come in and tear a line off faster than you know what to do with. Some states have northern pike, but they ain't got them like Minnesota. Yep. Out here, you'll be out bass fishing, and you'll be catching 2-3 pound largemouth, and the next thing you know, you're into 39, 38-inch northern pike like you wouldn't believe. And you're in for the fight of your life. Because the main thing is trying to keep your line off his teeth. Well, the only way you got a half a chance, braided line. Because he catches monofilament, he catches fluorocarbon.
Sounds
Done.
like fun to me.
Oh, it's a blast. They're fun to catch. Slimy. Good eating. Yeah, but they don't play. You ask anybody who's decided to go one-on-one with the great one, them big old northern pike, and I've caught quite a few good-sized ones here on stream. These, I got this off my son. So this one was manufactured wrong. It's got a twist to it. And, but I love these. These are my favorite. These are the Fishing 13 tickle sticks. And this is a second gen. The first and second gens, in my opinions, were the absolute best. I mean, these things are just... Look at that. Barely touch it. So when you're pan fishing, you get that real finicky bite. That's the ticket. That's the ticket right there. And it's got a decent backbone. Yeah, you can see where the backbone starts kicking in. That's the ticket right here. Bet you I could straighten that out if I just did that.
You see every bite.
Yep. You don't miss them. These are actually, so Fishing 13 was originally a Florida company. Now they're owned by Rapala, unfortunately. But, right? Can you believe I said that? But the problem is it's been my experience that when Rapala gets a hold of a good product like this, they mess it up. Through and through. Rapala's a great company. Love their products. It's just, and I asked one of their reps, I said, are you guys... I asked him flat out because I caught him up at my local bait shop. And he was actually a little...
China.
I said, the Fishing 13 series, what are you guys doing with that? He said, as far as I know and what we have been told, they are not touching it. They wanted the product designs. They're not changing anything. The manufacturing... They didn't fire anybody. They kept all the same people, the same engineers, the same builders. I said, that is my biggest fear because I have just gotten into the long rods for Fishing 13, and I am very, very, very impressed, and it would break my heart if you guys had messed them up. So, I've given up on Daiwa. I've given up on Abu Garcia as far as rods. Their quality has gotten to be very, very piss poor. I know Favorite was a big one for a lot of people. I never liked them. They were heavy. They were clumsy. You know, and that's the bad thing about me being where I was at in the bass fishing game. You know, yes, you can go to Walmart. You can buy a cheap setup and you can go catch largemouth bass. But my challenge is for those
Big
people.
Daddy yelled,
Welcome to my house.
Hey, Jackie!
These are my people. This is my land. This is what we pray for. This is God's plan.
What's happening, brother? Good to see you. Jackie's in the house. But my challenge, because I used to have neighbors that they fish, and I say, okay, do you know why I buy these fancy rods, these fancy reels? It's not because they cast better. I said it's the weight. I said, when you got to sling one of them rods for 8 to 10 hours a day, 40 hours a week, minimum, it puts some strain on your arm. People grab a hold of my setups and they're like, I can't believe how light that is. There's no weight to it. Yeah, that's because I used to have to sling this stuff for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours a day. I mean, how many streams have I done here on Twitch where a 12-hour stream where I'm slinging a rod almost the entire time? That's why. Not because I've got arms made of steel. It's because I bought the stuff that I can do that. And you're going to spend money to get that kind of quality. I'm still a Lew's guy. I love Lew's. The problem is my local distributor for Lew's is getting out of the business. So I mean, if somebody got like, I don't know, a couple $1 million, I could start my own bait shop, my own fishing emporium. Yeah, I'll be the Lew's guy around here. They got it, I'll get it. It'll be on the shelf. But my guy was telling me, he says, you know, your average profit margin on fishing stuff is like 5%. And he said it's not really even profit. It's you make 5 to 10% on it. By the time you pay for your shop, taxes and everything else, you got to sell a lot of fishing gear to make it. That's why them custom fishing lure guys, knowing the time that they have into them, I never underball them. I never ask them for a deal. Which reminds me, somebody made me some custom bass lures, and I keep forgetting to check my Tic Tac messages.
Tribal Custom Lures says depends if it's a large production company or wholesale. Dash says I'll never understand that. Move location then close our. Ow.
Well, there's more to it. I'll explain it to you, brother. Call me tomorrow. I'll explain to you why. It's there's some politics involved in that. And we don't talk politics on this stream. Politics and Twitch don't mix. We found that out the hard way, right, everybody? Right.
Tribal Custom Lures says I usually give shops 35 to 40%. Dash says yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you can afford that, you know, there's the thing is though, is like around here, like the guy that my local pro shop that is going out of business, he kind of tapped away out on the fishing stuff when he moved locations, because he sold guns and fishing gear. Kind of tapped away out on the fishing gear when he moved locations.
Tribal Custom Lures says, but Daiwa was 15 to 20%.
I would love to open a bait and tackle shop, a full-blown one. If I got the revenue to do so, I would do that. A full-blown bait and tackle shop.
But taxes are usually 12 to 15%, so subtract that. Dash says big investment for little gain. I am thinking. Tribal Custom Lures says it's tough when there's no meat on the bone.
Yeah. Well,
Jackie says, by the way, I am back in the old lizard wagon for now.
Nice. That's all right. I got my truck stuck today. Proud truck driver moment. Yep. I did a good one though. I got her in there further than they thought anybody would get it in. I didn't even realize I was in that far, but I was in. I was probably 100 to 115 feet into a snowdrift.
Well, he'll just say I rescued one of our drivers and I found out he has got a W full at shifting.
Ouch. Jacob, what's happening? Mine just doesn't like to go into gear all the time, so I just...
Dash says I think online shopping is killing little bait shops, along with other small shops.
The main thing that is killing them with online shopping is they're going through the distributors that the big stores go through, and they're not carrying... It's like this. I go to the local
Jackie
bait
says
shops
my
around here now.
truck shifted more times in the 7.5 hours he drove versus what I've done the last 4 days.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, here's the thing. I live in an area where we've got a lot of lakes. We have a very, very congested area of lakes. The thing is you got to keep up with what's going on TikTok. You got to keep up with what's going on social media, because these are the stuff that most people are looking to buy. But you got to keep the classics around. Like one of the things that my local guy had was being able to buy plastics in bulk. Being able to go get plastics in bulk. Buying them in a 2 to 5 pound bag, because I used to go in and buy 5 pound bags every year, because if you're a bass fisherman, you know one thing you're going to do is blow through plastics like nobody's business. But when you're buying in bulk in a 5 pound bag, you're buying them by the weight, it's not a big deal. You can change out every time you catch a fish. You can have fresh plastic on there. Well, now you got to go back to buying them in the little bags where you're paying $7 or $8 for, $1 to $2 for a single worm, and it's like, that's horrible. And it's more so because you're paying for the name and the packaging. It's not like that single worm's any better than anything that you can buy in bulk. But that's the thing. Are you going to get rich doing it? No, but if you're big enough, like Ed's bait shop up there by Leech Lake, he makes it just fine. He's got some custom jigs, the big nasties that he's known for, that are special to Leech Lake. But it's like around here, you just listen to the local fishermen. You get a good reputation with them, and you say, hey, what are they biting on? So I can carry them. When people ask you, like me, I buy my reels, like when I buy my titanium reels, because I'm hard on them. I fish like I'm fishing in a tournament. I don't take very good care of my stuff. I'll be the first
Dash
to admit
says
it.
fish don't know what brand plastic they're biting on.
No, it's all about presentation. But I'm very, very hard on my bass gear. I'm very hard on all my fishing equipment. And it's because I don't want to worry about little things. It's like this. If I got a bad reel, I don't care if it's $400. I'm throwing it in the garbage.
Tribal Custom Lures says listening to the customer is key. Exactly, Dash.
So one thing that people don't understand is, like, when you're tournament fishing, and I've gotten out of a lot of that mindset. I was like that for a while, a long while. You take a $400 reel and you start hearing the grind in there, like there's sand in there, you just throw it away. Or you give it to somebody else. You give it to a kid on the shoreline. is hand a kid a $400 reel, because you're not going to take the time to pull it apart and go through all that maintenance stuff. You're just going to throw another reel on so you're ready to go the next day. You don't have time to pull them apart. And that's the thing. That's literally the mindset I had. I would buy, so the titanium reels when they first came out were almost $400 a piece, and I bought 10 of them. I had the very first one released in the state of Minnesota, because right at the time that they were going to be released, I was pro staff, so all the pro staff members got one, and unfortunately, Minnesota was one of the few states that got caught. Mine came in. My rep brought it to me, and I went and tried it out for a week. I called him up, and I said, I need 10 more of these. And he said, yeah, the plant's closed down. I can't get any more of them. You've got the only one. So, and now I'm down to my last 3 of them. Because after all that stuff, it finally finished up. I did end up buying 10 of them. I didn't pay, just so you know, as a pro staff, you don't pay anywhere near that. I was paying up between $139 and $179 for those reels. So, and yes, I know it sounds like a lot of money and things like that, but I was also fishing a lot of tournaments. I fished a lot of local tournaments and local contests and things like that. So I like being on my game all the time. And honestly, I've just spoiled myself when it comes to bass fishing gear. And a couple of years ago, I hit burnout. And I hit burnout to the point of, I've got thousands, if not at least probably 10 grand worth of bass fishing gear. And I mean, it sounds really horrible to say that, but it's an obsession. It is one of the worst addictions I think anybody could ever have as far as fishing goes. Bass addiction is horrible because you're always looking for that one lure, that one plastic, that one hook, that one thing that will give you the edge, that reel, that rod, that line. It could be an inch longer rod with a faster action tip, and you're going to do it because it works best with this lure.
Big Daddy says at Dash Life, you currently have spent 1,443 hours and 5 minutes in the chat.
Dang. Yeah, and it is. It's a bad addiction. But the influences.
Tribal Custom Lures says I've had a similar experience. I was making stainless lures, but the price of metal skyrocketed. Unless I have thousands of dollars to buy bulk, I may have to discontinue.
Yeah, I got to the point.
Big Daddy says at Randy H 1990, you currently have spent 915 hours and 38 minutes in the chat.
Dash's time is not accurate because he changed his name. What was it 3 years ago now you changed your name? So all his previous time didn't count. His followage is good, but his hours in chat don't, because mine all reset too when I change my name. When I go into other people's streams, the followage is fine, but the time in chat isn't. Yeah, it's...
Randy says, oh wow. Dash says, yeah.
I do believe Dash is my longest follower.
Big Daddy says at Ogburnout, you currently have spent 701 hours and 21 minutes in the chat.
Yeah, it's... I don't know. The thing is, though, is I've met a lot of people doing this. One of the things I miss about fishing from the shoreline, like going to public docks and stuff, is meeting the kids who are like me, when I was growing up. You were scavenging garage sales and, working for the neighbor to get a lure or a fishing pole, or you're kind of just taking two or three fishing poles and making one. And matter of fact, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago when I was out bass fishing, there was a young man out fishing and he had one lure and one fishing rod. And he was standing out on the dock in Nunya and he walked almost 2 miles.
Dash says I wasn't actually looking for my time in chat. I wanted to know what time it was and was too lazy to get up and look. LMAO.
He had he told me that he walked almost 2 miles to come fishing. His mom was going to come pick him up, but he walked almost 2 miles to go fishing. And I was that kid. I was exactly that kid. And I turned around and Soggy Wonka Customs had just made me some just absolutely dead ringer custom flat bill Raplas crankbaits. And they were, any other scenario somebody would ask me for one, I would have said no. These things, because they're adjustable, they're tunable. I absolutely love the way he sets his up. And I looked at this kid and I said, "Hey kid, come over here real quick." He said, "Yeah." I said, "Here, put this on and throw this out." And he says, "Well, that's really cool." I said, "Well, that is your first custom-made lure. That was hand-built for me." And I said, "Now you own it." And it's just that kind of influence. There's a couple other kids that I've talked to over the years. I've done some on stream that have really picked up their fishing game. A couple of them are friends with me on Snapchat, and they start asking questions about certain lures and things like that. I remember my son, when my son and I first started fishing together, there was two things he would throw: a Rapala or a spinnerbait.
Tribal Custom Lures says 100% respect.
I would rather have a kid have a bass fishing addiction than a drug addiction or an alcohol addiction any day of the week. And if I can get him hooked on that, I remember the young man that I taught how to use plastics. My son was one of them. My son, like I said, Rapala or whatever, I taught my son in 5 minutes how to use a bait caster. And I was actually probably 5 years ago, he learned to use a bait caster. And now he's as good, if not better than me with it. The old man still got a couple old school tricks that he ain't figured out yet. But yeah, there's stuff, there's stuff that I've done, and the one kid I remember, he's watching me catch fish, and he was a teenager. You can tell he didn't have much. He was just kind of driving a hand-me-down car, and he was sitting there, and he's like, "What are you using to catch all them fish?" And I showed him I was using a Senko worm set up on a wacky worm, and he's like, "Well, how do you do it?" Because the other thing he was throwing out just a little small Rapala he was throwing out. Because that's what he could afford, that's what he bought. And so I went into my bag and I had a sandwich bag in the truck, because I usually carry Ziploc baggies with me in case I got to fillet them on site and throw them in the cooler. And I took the sandwich bag and I just loaded it full of plastics. And I had a little storage box for hooks, and I filled that little storage box full of hooks, and I sat there with him for a few hours showing him how to use each individual one.
Big Daddy loves Red Fox Dad just subscribed for 18 months in
These
a
are
row.
my people, and this is my land. This is what we pray for, and this is God's plan.
Thank you for that resub, and you are 100% correct. So, and it's largely in part because there were some people. I think my life may have changed if some people would have spent more time doing that to me. I didn't. My fishing gear, I scrapped for every bit of it. You know, I remember going to garage sales, and I mean, they were big, dumb, musky lures. You know, I didn't know the difference. Nobody taught me. My family was either catfish or panfish, and that was it. You either fished with a bobber or you fished with a sinker at the bottom of the Crow River. And we didn't get to do it very often, but when I got bit with that bass bug the first time, there was no social media. I couldn't afford, you know, magazines. All I could do was watch what was on TV. You know, and the local bait shops around there, they didn't
Dash
carry
asks
none of
that
that stuff.
kid's face when you gave him the rod and reel on the river last summer was priceless, or was that 2 summers ago?
2 summers ago. Yeah, and Soggy Wonka Customs came down and handed him a box full of custom lures. A box full of them. I couldn't believe that. He was prepping all of them to sell. And I was just, it was unbelievable. And he had to drive a little ways to get there. It was about about a half hour drive for him to come down there and just hand this kid all that stuff. And I was just like, man. But that's the stuff that fills my heart with joy, is when I can do that. You know, when I could take somebody who's, you know, give them something that they really want but can't afford to get it otherwise. I've been very blessed, you know, financially, not only through you guys, but you know, through my jobs and my career choices since I've been out of prison. And I've been very blessed to where I can be able to do that. Shoot, even when I ain't got the money, I do that. I was full-time streaming when I gave that kid that rod and reel, and I had no idea if I was going to have enough money to make it for the month. I'm built that way. If I have it and you earnestly need it, you're going to have it too. But I use enough discernment to know that there's some people out here that are just greedy and are going to take whatever they can get their hands on. I remember people making comments, "Oh, I wish I could afford that." And you can if you make the right choices. Nobody's going to hand it to you. I like to think that I've earned enough people's respect. The people who donate on this channel, I've earned enough respect and earn their care and concern and their investment to want this stream to move forward. You know, and that's why they do what they do. I'm grateful for it. The fact that I sit here in my garage and I get to talk to people from around the world is you know, it's just beyond me, and I love doing this. The content part stresses me out. When I started chasing content, it stressed me all the way out. That's why I tell people I don't give a shit about content, and I don't care about money. And it's not because I spend it recklessly, it's because I have a very good job. So I use the money that comes in from the stream to do things for the stream. Whether it's bait or gas or trip or whatever, or getting better equipment to make a better stream. And I have people who have sent me money off stream and said, "I don't care what you do with it. Go get a cheeseburger. Go out to eat. So I do that. I honor that. You know, people who have sent money for propane and gas this past winter. I've been very, very blessed in that. And for me, the only thing I can do is turn the camera on and let you guys be a part of it. That's the only repayment I have is to let you all be a part of it. And yes, for me, sometimes I feel extremely obligated because it's like your generosity blows me out of the water, and it's like all they want to do is hang out with me. Well, here's what we're doing today. You want to hang out? Let's hang out. Just like tonight, I worked 14 hours today, but I'm like, you know what? It's still early enough. I can turn the stream on. Let's go turn the stream on. So that's what I did. My lunchbox is sitting there. I didn't even take the ice packs out of it or nothing. Or yes, I did. Yes, I did. That's a lie. I'm pretty sure I did. Did I? I think I did. I hope I did. Need them frozen for tomorrow. And then when I get done with the stream, I got to walk down the end of the alley and go grab my garbage can and haul it back up and go in and chew on some leftover hot dish that my wife made last night. And then I get to go to bed and do it all over again tomorrow. And if it turns out to be another 12 to 14 hour day, I may be a little late streaming again tomorrow. I will stream at some point this weekend once I've made some noticeable damage. It's really hard to get projects done when you're streaming, by the way. And I've said this 1,000 times. It's really hard because I'd rather sit and talk to y'all than, never fails because somebody will say something and I'll have a squirrel moment. Squirrel! Ha! Conversation. So that's why I did what I did last weekend. And then you guys see the result. You couldn't hardly watch me if you can. Catch me if you can. Red Fox, thank you. What do you mean get on it then? You listen, all the stuff I moved out of here, you owe me a lot of bits right now. You shouldn't do that. You owe me a lot of bits right now for all the stuff I moved out of here. Go show you the storage garage, buddy. You'll be broke. You owe me your next 3 months for the paychecks.
OG says 100 bits. Put stuff away.
I did. I'm waiting for you guys. I'm waiting for you to catch up. I'm waiting for you to catch up.
Wasn't on stream. Doesn't count.
What about stuff I put away yesterday? That was or Monday. That was on stream. Only Cowboy, what's happening? Oh yeah, I'm doing well. See, my raise doesn't kick in this check. It's the next check it kicks in, I think. It's weird. Something wrong. There's got to be something. I must be wired wrong because even though I'm making very good money, the only thing I want to do is go back to full-time streaming, but do it different. I'll get there. Most people in the average work world would think I'm absolutely nuts. And you're right. By normal standards, I am. But when I first started full-time streaming, I loved it. I look forward to turning the camera on every day. Where I burned myself out as I started chasing content. Oh, the only way people are going to, watch me is if I'm in the van and I'm out fishing and doing this. No. It makes it interesting. And I would do a few road trips, but not like I did last time. No. I got 110 fishing lakes in a 20-mile radius, and we got Starlink. Time to start finding. Hey, that'd be the first thing. Let's see how many lakes we can hit in the summer. And I mean, work the lakes over. Some of these lakes would take me a whole week. I would like to do the fuzzy challenge, though. I would like to go to every state and catch a fish. That would be cool. I really admired that about him. He went
Red Fox Mad asks, did you go out ice fishing this year with Ryan the garbage man?
Nope. I haven't talked to him in a minute. Last time I seen him, we were both fueling up our trucks up at the Quick Trip. I didn't get to go fishing with a lot of people this year. Our work schedules have all been insane. Once I get the van up and going, I think one of the trips I want to take is now that I got the Starlink set up, maybe Rotax and I go head back down on his little river spot over there. We were blasting smallmouth over there. I think that's where Rotax got into his first catfish too. I think. Pretty sure. Maybe it was his first smallmouth. One of the two. We had horrible reception there. Absolutely, absolutely horrible reception. We couldn't even stream until at night most of the time because during the daytime there was nothing. But now I give her a run with the old Starlink and see how she does. The only problem I'm going to have with Starlink is wooded areas, heavily wooded areas, because you got to be able to point it to the north and a little west here in Minnesota. Oh, I got to send Laserbeam's power inverter back. Get that boxed up this weekend too and get that sent back to him. That's on loan. I need three of those. Because I'll need one for the van. Then I'm going to get I don't want to. So what I used to do is I used to move equipment around from vehicle to fish house, whatever like that. I'm not going to do that anymore because I found that is very hard on the equipment. It's been a lesson learned when you're using it as much as I do. It's better to just leave it in place. So I'm going to take the stuff right now that is in the fish house, the 2000 watt power inverter, and then get a 500 watt, and those will be permanently mounted in the van. And then the fish house will get a 3000 watt pure sine wave, and I think I am going to take the 100 watt kit off the fish house. I'm going to put that on the van just so that way I have something to maintain the batteries. Because I want to redo the system that's in the fish house. I learned a lot this year in the fish house working with lithium. I've never worked with lithium batteries like that. Matter of fact, the only lithiums I had prior to that were my DeWalt batteries and my 19 amp hour Amped Outdoors battery. So now that I've gotten a few things figured out, the van, I'm going to get on Temu and get just a couple of 300 or 100 watt amp hour batteries, smaller ones. Because then 300 watt ones will take, or 300 amp hour ones will take up too much space. I gotta use the bathroom real quick. I'd put you on a be right back screen, but there's nothing there. So you can stare at my mess. Coach G, you get a 2 for 1. Now I gotta figure out, I've never used this part of my power probe. And this might, I was just thinking about this. It's supposed to locate shorts, opens, and test intermittent problems. So I'm gonna try this on the Expedition. I was just thinking about this today. Yeah, we're definitely going to use that on the Expedition when we get it in here. See if I can't work that. What time is it? It's 9:30 already? Holy shit. Oh, Sit Stubborn. Can I get a shout out? Need a shout out for old Shanna Stubborn. With my favorite sub video, by the way. Good to see you also. Yeah, I'm gonna have to call it a night. I gotta be up early again tomorrow. Oh, absolutely, man. Love hanging out with you. If y'all want to watch Sinister Stubborn plays old retro games. Still ain't taking my call out on the old Paperboy though. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Calling you out on stream now. What? Next time I show up, better see an old Paperboy running.
Dash says, have a great night, everyone.
We are going to raid Mickey Monster tonight. Somebody wants to get that raid started for me. We're gonna raid Mickey. Mickey is on my staff. She's a moderator here. She's also on my
Big Daddy
sponsorship
yells,
team.
we are going to raid Mickey Monster. Go
Thank
to their
you.
channel URL now. OG says started.
Thank you. Yeah, she's been phenomenal here. Glad to have her on the team. So go in, show her some love, give her a follow, say hi,